Well, my name is Brian Gagey, and I want to welcome everybody to Inside of a Dog's Mind. This is my class that I have been, it's been developing over the last 15 years that I've been teaching this. And I like to typically start by sharing with everyone kind of my background and how I stumbled onto studying psychology, not only for humans, but also for our beloved dogs. And the reality is I started training dogs when I was a teenager, and it was just pet dog stuff. We did clicker training, treat training, and then I joined the United States Marine Corps, and I ended up becoming a scout sniper. And we started learning about the mind of a dog because that's one of the top 3 things that some of our enemies will do is send the tracking dogs out. So they wanted to teach us about behavior and the dependence on the handler, and that helps us formulate plans to defend ourselves against tracking dogs, and specifically the handlers. In the end, the last thing you want is to get captured behind enemy lines. So, the United States Marine Corps, their theory is knowledge is power. And that really strikes a chord with me because we tend to sometimes want to stray away from knowledge. And in fact, what really drove me into studying psychology on a deeper level was a motor vehicle accident that I was in when I was a sheriff's deputy. So when I got out of the Marine Corps, I became a police officer. I was not a canine handler, but I did work with our canines. I was the primary decoy, and I set up a lot of the training scenarios. And that's really where my working dog education came from. So this car accident happened, which you can see here on the screen. I ended up with severe brain damage, and the specialists that I was seeing started teaching me about my brain and what happens when you have lesions on the brain, how that can alter personality, behaviors can change. I noticed that my patience level was different. I used to be the most patient person on the face of the planet. I mean, come on, being a sniper, you have to be very patient. Sometimes you have to lay in a bush for 3 days. And just little things started getting under my skin. And these doctors were so gracious to be able to teach me. And I was so hungry for answers because the answers are what made sense. And the truth is, you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know that something is a reality, you'll never work on it because it's beyond your conscious awareness. So that just really struck a chord with me. And the things that these doctors were telling me, I started wondering, I wonder if this is true in dogs. So then I would research it, and I found out that a lot of it is very similar. Now, not all of it. Dogs are an animal, but they have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. So this class is going to teach you all about those dynamics and why it's so important for you to understand that as a dog owner. I mean, after all, most people want answers to their questions, and what I've noticed over the last 35 years of being in this business is that people have an expectation. When they're going to spend money on their dog, they want answers. Well, that makes sense because we all work hard for our money, and we want to make sure that our money is being well spent and we're getting the answers to the questions that we have. And the reality is most people aren't asking enough questions like what I like to call but whys. But why does that work? So in other words, you go to a dog trainer and half the time most people, they don't question authority. Well, they're the dog trainer, I'm not. I'm giving them money, so I don't feel like I have the right to answer questions. But when anybody gives you a certain technique, you should be asking, but why does it work? Because the truth is, if the person that's sending that message that they're knowledgeable, if they can't tell you the but whys, well, then maybe you're not in the right place. So I developed this course to really answer those but why questions. So this is going to do a few things for you. One, if you go to seek out a trainer, you're going to know exactly what questions to ask to test their knowledge base. But 2, you're also going to understand your dog's brain in such a way that if somebody tells you something that doesn't align with the empirically researched evidence from a scientific standpoint, then chances are they don't actually know what they're talking about on an empirical scientific standpoint. Well, frankly, I want all the people that do business with iPupPee to understand that we're going to give you the hardcore facts that is actually truthful. And so what we've done is we've comprised this course, and in this course you're going to learn all about behavior, where it comes from, what it actually is. You're going to learn about the human limitations and how it affects your dog. You're also going to learn about the conscious versus the subconscious mind and some dynamics that most people aren't aware of. Very important topic. And one of my favorite topics that you're also going to learn is belief system. How powerful is a belief system? And we'll get into that as well, and you're going to learn so much about belief system and why most trainers fail. It's because they focus on the behavior rather than focusing on the belief that drives the behavior. So we'll dive into that. We're also going to teach you about the differences between operant conditioning and classical conditioning. Over the last 35 years, I've noticed that so many people truly don't understand the difference between the two. In fact, many dog trainers that I've spoken to don't fully understand the difference between the two. We're going to also dive into something that I think is extremely important for all dog owners, and that is what actually is a reward. If you don't understand what a reward actually is, then how can you be hypervigilant to understand when your dog is self-rewarding or if you're rewarding at the wrong time? How important is that? Well, turns out it's actually extremely important, and we'll get into that. We're also going to talk about the differences between treat-based training and operant conditioning type trainings. We'll get into body language and body language misconceptions. The thalamus of a dog's brain is another one. By the way, we also have a thalamus, and it operates the exact same way. How fascinating is that? We'll talk about the memory of a dog, and then we have some acronyms to help you remember some of the content, and then we'll have our closing comments. So stay tuned. We're going to dive right into this.